Actually, I can give you one tonight, but I only lost your
Good evening again. Welcome to the Raynham Zoning Board of Appeals. The first petition to come before us is number 873, Barlow Signs, Linear Retail, sign variance at 325 New State Highway. I'll announce the proceedings are being transcribed to provide full and accurate minutes. The hearing will come to order at 7 o'clock on this 27th day of June, 2012, Municipal Building, Town of Raynham. The participating board members will be on my immediate right, clerk of the board, Mr. Roy Latimer. On my left, Mr. Chris Gilbody, associate member. My name is Newton. I'm chairman of the board. Will the clerk read the petition and other relevant matters, please?
Public meeting notice. Or do you want to have them sworn in?
When they get ready.
Okay, all right. Okay. The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 27th, 2012, 7 p.m. at the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 873, Barlow Signs, on behalf of Linear Retail, Raynham, Mass. Request for a variance from Raynham zoning bylaws, section 6.6, signs, section 6.69B, pursuant to section 6.25, to allow the alteration of one existing internally illuminated freestanding sign, 180 square feet by 30 feet tall, by replacing with one 18-foot 6 by 11-foot sign cabinet, 219 square feet, 30 feet tall, at the existing setback at the retail plaza at 325 New State Highway, Raynham, Assessors Map 14, Lot 222. And it has been published in the Taunton Daily Gazette on June 11th and June 18th, 2012. And it has been attested by Gordon Luciano.
Thank you very much. All those who intend to give testimony in this case, please rise. You're going to say anything at all? Are you an attorney? No, I'm not. Okay, keep your hand up. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please come forward to the podium and state reasons why we should grant this variance.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tim Sullivan. I'm an employee of Barlow Signs out of Hudson, New Hampshire. With me this evening is Gail McNeese. She's Vice President of Leasing and Asset Management with Barlow Signs. Before I begin my presentation, I have some signed letters from the tenants of 325 New State in favor of our proposal, which I'd like to present to the board.
Thank you very much. We'll get around to those.
They need to be read.
What our proposal is to basically update the existing freestanding sign on the property. As I'm sure you're all aware, the existing sign's been changed over the years. Panels, cabinets have been added and shifted around. My client has done some work on the plaza, over $30,000 worth of renovations to the plaza, including parking lot spaces and refinishing the fascia. And this is another step that they're looking to do at that plaza to basically dress it up a little bit more for their tenants. To be honest with you, the crux of the program started with the tenants coming to my client saying, we need better signage out by the road. We're losing business. Our businesses aren't doing as well as they could be in this plaza. And what can you do to help us? And my client has looked at this freestanding sign and said, we can make it a better sign, we can make it a more attractive sign, and we can make it a sign that will work for the tenants. With that, what we proposed is to take the existing sign, which sits at 160 square feet, and increase it to a size of 219. And what we're proposing is to make the sign wider. Where the present sign is 8 feet wide, we're going to move it up to 11 foot 10 to allow the panels to be a little bit wider and allow to have a little bit better visibility. The existing sign, the panels are actually only just over 7 feet wide, which makes a real tall pillar of a sign, if you will, and it's tough to read the panels. Whereas as opposed, if you get a wider sign, it makes visibility a lot easier to read that sign. And as you know, that stretch of road is 2 lanes both ways. It's heavily traveled, and the plaza is blocked if you're approaching it from the west by a row of trees. The McDonald's is there, and so it's important to have a sign out by the road to allow vehicles to safely turn into the property. The size of the sign is not out of scale, in keeping with other signs along that stretch of road. The Stop and Shop across the street, and other, or I believe it's the Shaw's across the street, and other signs along that stretch, all are within the 200 to 250 range. I stopped by and measured a bunch of them this afternoon. So with our size, I believe we're keeping in size with what's along that stretch. And again, our intention is to make it so these businesses can flourish in Raynham, and I think that's important to the community. If I'd be willing to answer any questions that the board might have, or expand further.
Are you finished with your dissertation?
Sure.
All right. Are there any others here who would be favorable to the petition? If you are, please stand and
Gail McNeese,
state your name and address.
sure, Gail McNeese, 5 Burlington Wood Road, Burlington, Mass. I'm the asset manager and vice president for Linear Retail. So I oversee the property.
All right, thank you. Did you get that?
Yes,
All
I
right.
did.
Say what you need to say.
Well, I've been managing the property for approximately 4.5 years.
Mhm.
We just did work. When we put in the honeydew for the drive-through, we did the back. We renovated. It's my belief, I spend a lot of time with my tenants. They know me pretty well. It's my belief that a new sign, a new attractive sign that's visible for everyone to see would be helpful to them. I know Honeydew has struggled. Their business is struggling a bit. I have a new tenant that's gone in that's moved from a different location, so it would be helpful to have a new sign that would attract people to come to our center.
Thank you.
My name is Bill Bernard. I'm with Barlow Signs, 158 Greeley Street, Hudson, New Hampshire. And I don't have too much more to add than what Tim and Gail already have presented, except that we know from studies that size really does affect the success of a business. The larger the sign, the easier it is for people to read, and for them to, especially an impulse buy like a Honeydew Donuts or something like that. If they see it, and like Tim said, we give them time to have safe turning and everything, then it's better for everybody, better for those tenants, and hopefully still within keeping with the signs that are on that street.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
If I may propose one other thing. Just to the west of that, there's a McDonald's, as I stated. They have a sign that's well over probably 250 to 300 square feet. Don't know how large it actually was, because I couldn't really get a measurement on it. And they're a one business. They're just one tenant in that property. And the same with Friendly's to the other side of the property. Now, granted, I'm sure some of these signs were grandfathered into the town, but from a visual standpoint, the motorists are actually trying to compete with, with which signs to see. And it's important that, again, the tenant panels for this signs aren't large. They're not over the top in size, and it's just important to get copy where it's large enough for vehicles to read, or drivers of vehicles. Obviously, the vehicles won't be reading.
Thank you. Any question of the petitioner, if you will?
Yes. Looking at what your proposal, so this is a new, I gather, that when I look at what is existing and what is being proposed, it's a new sign completely.
Correct.
The only problem with it, nothing on this new sign you're proposing meets our bylaws.
Correct.
And the signs that you were talking about, I could assure you were most likely grandfathered, because we're trying to keep, if you'll notice, many of the newer buildings are keeping now within our bylaws. And I would be very hesitant to agree to, a sign that's 30 feet instead of 23 max, and your area is 219, and the area allowed is 120. But other stores that have multiple businesses still have small signs. You've got 8 signs on this one pylon. And I understand where you're coming from, but I just have some real reservations. I mean, we're trying to get some uniformity in town, and just, we let you go with this, then the next fellow comes down, well, gee, you let them do it, and they weren't grandfathered, why can't I do the same?
Well, the existing sign as it stands now is 30 feet tall.
Yes, I know.
So that was one thing we were trying to maintain that same height. However, we are willing to reduce the overall height of the sign if it would, please the board. With regards to the square footage, like I said, I kind of went up and down that road, and the Shaw's Plaza, which is directly across the street, is in excess of 200 square feet. Again, that's a fairly new sign. And then further down the Cape Road Plaza, where the Bob's is and Staples is in excess of 250 square feet.
That sign down there has been there for probably 40 years. I'd love to see that one go. Along with and so is the one.
I mean, but both of those signs are considerably taller
Yeah.
than what we're proposing.
And so is Friendly's.
Right,
Those were done probably 40 years ago.
I understand that.
And-
But what you have to, what we're trying to do is have a sign that kind of is in keeping with what's going on over there with the size of signs. One of the almost disadvantage of this plaza is it actually sits too close to the road.
And too low, actually.
And too low, it sits down in the valley, exactly. So I was driving by there today 3 or 4 times, and it's tough to even tell who the tenants are. And that's why we're looking to get this sign perpendicular to the road to help the tenants with some visibility. And that's kind of why we've come up with the size that we have come up with, to allow the tenants to have a large enough letter on the sign to make it visible as you're approaching from a safe distance. And again, it's important to allow motorists to have a safe egress into the property, which is why we've gone with the size. The sign hasn't grown really in height, it's just come out, which is accounting for the additional square footage, to allow it to have a larger letter that's more visible.
Now,
Thank you. Excuse me. You continue?
Yeah, I got one question left. I notice on the existing sign that you have there, you have the address up on the top. It looks like it was added on. And this one now indicates Raynham Plaza, but I don't see any numbering on this sign. Obviously, you're gonna have to put it someplace, but that was one thing I didn't, because I think the fire department has to have
Yeah,
that one.
typically if it's a requisite of the fire department, what we'll do is put it on the end of the pole cover.
Okay,
Just as a flat vinyl
Yeah.
lettering that just identifies the property.
okay, I'm right now.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gilbody, you have any comments?
I have no further questions.
No further questions? Mr. Latimer really covers the ground, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think, just looking at the signage, driving past that property, it is very hard to see the signage. I drive by it daily and I don't really know what's in that plaza, so.
Well, I agree with it. So it is too high, it should be reduced in height. And even though it has the address up there which is
Somewhat, yeah.
a well requirement of the police and fire department. The, it is, made it rather small here, so it's attractive. But I agree with my friend here that it needs to be cut down in size. And how would you do that?
Well, would it please the board if we reduce the height and then we wouldn't need the variance for the overall height? Because we're willing to knock it down to the 23, is that what code allows? 23.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would knock 7 feet off of it.
That would make us feel better.
I mean, is that,
Yeah, I think the only, yeah.
I mean, the one thing if we're a little concerned about, it's not really at an entrance or exit. So we'd like to get the sign up slightly so you have some visibility underneath the sign. But where that sign is located on the property, I'm not really concerned about a visibility issue.
We could meet the 15 as well.
And again, as Bill just pointed out, the overall width of 15, which is again, per your ordinance, we can take in the pole covers slightly, 2 inches on each side to meet the 15, kind of like the 1'6", because it had a little bit more mass to the pole covers as opposed to just, spindly. But again, if that would be something that the board would be in favor of, we'd be
How
willing
do you
to.
feel about that,
I
Mr.
feel that the width conforms. I notice on what you're proposing, you're 11 feet from the bottom of the sign to the ground, and you only have to be 8 feet, so that you get some play in reducing the sign. I'd like to see the sign certainly at the 23. I think the only question here is the sign coverage. You do have 8. The area you're asking for is 180 square feet. We allow 120. I think
Would the reduction in size cut that down significantly?
it probably, what we're going to do is pull it down this way. I would probably, because of the location, and they do have a problem on the site there, because it is lower, I would be willing to go to the 180 square feet signage. That's the same width as, in other words, and you're meeting our bylaw requirements of no larger than 15 feet wide.
Correct,
Height, 23.
correct.
And I would make a motion that we do increase, allow for a variance of the 122 square feet for the face of the sign to the 180 that you requested.
Well, we're actually requesting,
I'm sorry,
we're actually requesting 290.
wait a minute, what have I got here?
180 is what's existing.
180 is, okay, I'm sorry, 180 is what,
Is there now?
Standard.
okay, you're requesting, okay, you're requesting 219 and 120 is allowed,
Correct, and 180 is there now.
and 180 is there now. I would say 200 square feet.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's reasonable. I think reducing the height would be helpful in getting closer to the standards. So I think the 200 square feet would be fine.
I'll go along with that. He's our sign expert, so we sort of go along with him.
I'm not always right, though, but this one I think I am.
You always say you are.
Well, you have to.
So we're at a 200 square foot sign,
Yep,
23 feet overall height
and 15 overall width.
yeah.
Are there any objectors here? Doesn't appear to be no objectors.
Because that actually increases your width almost twice to what it is now, so I think we're,
We're a little ahead of ourselves, Mr. Latimer, so why don't you read those letters that
Oh,
are in
okay.
favor?
we have some letters here addressed to the Raynham Planning, to the Raynham Board of Appeals. On behalf of Linear Retail, Raynham Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek a variance from the Raynham zoning bylaws to install a freestanding pylon sign for our business located at 355 State Highway, located in Raynham, Mass. Approval of a new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during these difficult economic times. As a business owner, you can only imagine the difficulties we have endured during the past 2 years. Not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw in new shoppers to the property. We appreciate your sincere consideration. Thank you, George Sakaros from Honeydew Donuts. The Raynham Board of Appeals, on behalf of Linear Retail Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek a variance from the Raynham zoning bylaws to install a freestanding pylon for our business located at 355 State Highway, located in Raynham, Mass. The approval of the new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during these difficult economic times. As a business owner, you can imagine the difficulties we have endured during the past 2 years. Not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw in new shoppers to the property. Store manager of Sherwin-Williams, looks Ron G. something. On behalf of Linear Retail, Raynham Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek the approval of the zoning board to install a freestanding pylon sign in Planned Development District under the zoning ordinance. The approval of a new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during these difficult economic times. As a business owner, not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw new shoppers to the property. And that's George Height of Trends Jewelers.
Got everybody.
It's everybody, it's almost all, do you want me just, I guess I gotta read each one, they're the same letter, but. On behalf of Linear Retail, Raynham Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek the approval of the Raynham Board of Appeals to install a freestanding pylon sign in a planned development district under the zoning ordinance. The approval of a new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during these difficult economic times. As a business owner, you can only imagine the difficulties we have endured during the past 2 years. Not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw on new shoppers to the property. That's Sean Sullivan of Sean Subs of Massachusetts. Raynham Board of Appeals, on behalf of Linear Retail, Raynham Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek a variance from the Raynham zoning bylaws to install a freestanding pylon for our business located at 355 State Highway, located in Raynham, Mass. The approval of a new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during these difficult economic times. As a business owner, you can only imagine the difficulties we have endured during the past 2 years. Not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw in new shoppers to the property. That is from Allison Carpentier of T-Mobile. The last one is on behalf of the Linear Retail Number One LLC, please be advised that we seek a variance from the Raynham zoning bylaws to install a freestanding pylon for our business located at 355 State Highway, located in Raynham, Mass. The approval of a new freestanding pylon would greatly assist our business during this difficult economic times. As a business owner, you can only imagine the difficulties we have endured during the past 2 years. Not only is it imperative to maintain our customer base, but just as important, we need to grow our business. A new pylon would provide assistance by allowing us the ability to draw in new shoppers to the property. Store manager of Hertz, Red Salisbury, it looks like, but, okay.
Thank you very much. No communications requesting denial there, I would
No,
think.
didn't see any.
And as much as we have concluded, I don't think you need to summarize, do you?
No, I don't. Thank you.
I'll close the public hearing. We'll go into executive session. All may remain while the board deliberates, but none may speak. You want to go along with the, okay. You have that written down, Mrs. McKinnon?
Somewhere. You talking about the dimensions?
Do I have the dimensions?
You're going up to 200 square feet now?
Yes.
23 wide?
Allow
15 wide.
Allow 200 square feet, allow 15 feet wide.
15 feet wide, height 23 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Fine.
And
Thank
the
you.
minimum 8 foot at the bottom,
Right.
clear.
The decision has been made, as you heard, and the filing of the decision will be with the town clerk within 15 days, and of course, you probably will want to have it filed with the Bristol County Registry of Deeds, Northern Bristol District, and that'll be shortly after it's filed here. Thank you for coming.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, good luck. We can't help you raise your building.
That would be helpful. Did you say you can?
Bruce, thank you.
Thank you again.
Okay, you're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Which do I read here?
The,
They should be the same wording.
No, but this is this says this wording here. I read this, then I read this, I guess.
Excuse me.
the next matter to come before the board is
The same thing.
Petropoulos
Same thing.
front variance at Princess Lane.
You
And
can read that and you just say who.
Okay.
I'll announce again, the proceedings are
It
being
was throwing me off, it was handwritten. I
recorded,
wasn't reading.
and there will also be on TV. My left, associate member, Christopher Gilbody. On my right, clerk of the board, Roy Latimer. My name is Newton, I'm chairman of the board. And the call the hearing at 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this 27th day of June, 2012, municipal building, town of Raynham. The clerk will read the petition of the relevant matters, please.
Public meeting notice. The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 27th, 2012, at 7 p.m. at the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 874, George and Demirola Petrola, I am killing that one. Petrolas, Brockton, Mass. Request to review the Raynham Building Commissioner's decision to deny a building permit or, in alternative, grant a variance from 150-foot frontage requirement of the Raynham zoning bylaws, section 5.1, minimum requirements. A locus property on Princess Lane, Raynham, Mass. At the locus. Assessors map 12, lot 212A-44. And it was published in the Gazette on June 11th and June 18th. Okay, I guess it's attested by. And it is attached by, it is attested by Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lewis. Okay, thank you. All those who intend to give testimony, please rise. Raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, you're an attorney.
I am.
You don't have to do that.
No, I didn't think
If
so.
they're gonna say anything at all, you're not.
No, only that they're in favor. No comments.
Privileges, no comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'll identify myself first. I'm Attorney Jake Creedon from Brockton, where I've been practicing for 44 years, a lot of which has been in the zoning area. But in any event, I'm here with the two petitioners, husband and wife of at least that many years, George and Tula Petropoulos, and their daughter, attorney Georgia Petropoulos, and their son-in-law, Scott Bezerek, who live precisely in King's Estates, directly across the street in Lot 2, if you'll, in our brief, if you see that. Now, Mr. Chairman, I'll be as direct as I can. I did file it in a bifurcated manner in that I threw in a challenge of the building inspector, because I've done that over the years in different places, and I'll just give you briefly the reason for that. The planning board of the town of Raynham approved this back in May of 2004 with all zoning approvals, with the street size of 24 feet, with the sewerage, with everything else. The daughter, who bought on the same day, within the year, decided to build her house. They just got married. He's a Brockton policeman, and they moved in, built their house, and now have 2 grandchildren there. The parents bought the house same day across the street, the lot, and obviously was waiting for grandchildren, and they have and still have a lovely home in Brockton. But naturally, after being in the business that Mr. Petropoulos is in for over 50 years, he's ready to retire. And he wanted to retire naturally in that gorgeous estate down there, which I have visited many, many times. I don't have to tell you, because I'm sure all of the members of the board know that, the entire residential area there is some 46 approved lots, which was done back in 2004. And lot 44, which is the situs in question, is one of those lots that was approved with all the benefits of zoning and everything at that time. The reason I filed the bifurcation asking to challenge the building inspector is because there is, when there is an 81 subdivision approval, there is a freeze period for some 3 years on the zoning and situation like that for the use. We got into the area where I believe it's very close to where the governor of this state and many, many other states, because of the economic situation, allowed and permitted that things that were to be built that could not be built economically would take the benefit of the freeze much further. In other words, piggyback that. So that's the reasoning that I did put that in. Concerning the variance itself, Section 5-1 requires condition now of 150 frontage feet. This particular one has 146.1, which means under your present regulation, it would be about 3 feet and 9 inches short. But, and again, I've done a lot of zoning in a lot of cities and towns. This is a corner lot. The actual frontage on the corner of Princess, where this house would be built, is 274.12 feet, which is much greater than almost every house in that subdivision. Needless to say, all of the other requirements, the 40,000 square feet, all of those are there. I can tell you that just by looking at the map, the exhibits I put in, that all these lots, hardship-wise, they're all different shaped. All
Is
of
it a
them.
rounded corner
It is.
on Princess?
I believe it is.
So
I've been there. It is a rounded corner.
if it is, did you consider that half of that round?
That's the way we do it in most of the cities and towns. So under either circumstances, they would have plenty of frontage, notwithstanding the planning board approval back in 2004. Again, the hardship situations that have been addressed,
The town fathers back then, when they approved it, wanted to be residential. It is residential. We are petitioning that we put a single-family house there. Certainly it can be done without any detrimental effect to the surrounding neighbors. I might add, the abutters list went out to 33 people. I think at least 28 of them contacted my office to say, we're 100% in favor of this. So that's probably why there's no one here. Again, the daughter and son-in-law live across the street. I know myself many of the neighbors there, and they know Mr. and Mrs. Petropoulos well because they're babysitting all the time and would love to see a house built there, a single-family house. They have expended, as I indicated, and the law is very clear, it can't be a straight financial hardship, but I can tell you, and I put in my brief, they have already expended in excess of $270,000 between the purchase, the permitting, the architectural plans. They went out and have actual house plans that would perfectly fit in with the other beautiful houses that are down there. So there is, in addition to those other hardships, there is certainly the hardship financial, which can be recognized. I could go on and on with the other situations, but again, my experience, and it wouldn't happen here because the Petropoulos, Mr. and Mrs. Petropoulos, have maintained that lot in a very clean fashion because of the neighborhood there. But in others in cities and towns where I've practiced zoning for years, when there's a vacant lot in an area and it remains a vacant lot, no matter how big or how small it is, it gets rubbish, it gets rodents, it gets kids, and it gets potentially illegal activity in there. So for all those great reasons, and as my brief concludes, I think all of the requirements are there for this 3.9 inch variance to make that a buildable lot so that it can pick up a building permit. Be happy to answer any questions of you, Mr. Chairman, of the board.
Thank you very much. You did well in your writing of the application as well as your verbal. I'll, and of course, you have 4 people here who are favorable to the petition, but they remain silent.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions?
I think you did your presentation was very well done. I have to agree with you 100%. The underground utilities, everything seems to be kept up there. In fact, as you make the turn, you wonder why there isn't a house on that lot.
Thank you.
And I think a couple of years ago, a condition very similar to this was on the opposite end of that block, that corner lot. There were some problems there with dimensions that we approved. And
Well, in my due diligence, and I tried to find out, thanks to Maureen here, I believe, tried to get everything about the lots in that area.
Yeah.
That one got by me,
it was a while ago, but it was,
Yeah,
as you
okay.
go down that road, it's on the right, and it was the very same thing. But I mean, you have the building square, you've got over 140, over the 40,000 square feet. I think it's fine.
Everything checks off. Mr. Gilbert.
I agree. Everything seems to be in order. 3.5 feet, I mean, it's not really a huge deal to me, especially with the corner lot there with the added frontage that's not taken into consideration.
We take that, of course, into consideration, but I have no problem with it. But let's go on further. Any communications favoring the petition?
No.
There are no objectors present, as I can see that correctly. Any communications requesting denial?
No.
I think you presented your clients well, and there's no need to go on with any summary.
Thank you, Chairman.
I declare the hearing closed. We're going to executive session. All may remain while the board deliberates, but none may speak. No problem as presented?
No problem is presented.
Yes?
Yes.
Fine.
Thank you very much, members of the board.
of course, will be filed within 15 days with his town clerk. And after that, 20 days with the Bristol County, North and Bristol Registry of Deeds. And after that, build your house. Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
It just looks unfinished with it not there. When
I think they're hoping you don't take 15 days to get the decisions.
Well, the way,
Okay.
the way they look, the thing is gonna be built in 15 days.
Okay, same to
Thank
you.
you, you do too. What type of business are you in?
My dad's, he's an auto mechanic in Brockton, G&T Automotive, and he owns his own business. My mom and dad have it together.
Automotive business. I hope you didn't have any money in Greece.
Well, we
Now, I hope you don't have any intention of opening an automobile business there either.
He's retiring.
We got enough of those.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Nobody could fix foreign cars, it was so difficult. He was the man that could. Needless to say, he had his own business too, but he was the only fellow that could do it.
We called him in, huh?
Hardworking. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
That was a no-brainer, that last one.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had that lot down at the end a couple of
Yeah.
years ago. I can remember that one.
You're probably gonna need it.
Oh, it's okay, I'll get back to it, I'll
All
get
right.
one next time.
All right.
Remember that.
Well, that's pretty good. Good time.
You gonna close the meeting?
Yeah, call the meeting closed.
Okay.